Guys, it's me again, Orc Slayer. What if where we last left off? So I did a Dragonborn what if last time. Now I'm back to Deku and Bell what if. So where we last left off? Well, let's see. Checking. Bell and Deku, I believe, and maybe Bell. I'm not entirely sure. Essentially acted as it was Deku and Ida. There we go, as Deku and Ida sort of protected a meeting between Alliance officials and Turian military officials to talk some business or something along those lines. As Deku and them saved them from an assassination attempt or just a messing up event by some Batarians, I believe. As well as they got some useful information and a potential ally from a Turian who had faced Muscular in the past. So they've sort of not guaranteed, but gotten said if he can find definite proof, they're more than willing to assist them. They can't really go off world with a lot of their people. It would draw attention, as Muscular no doubt has eyes on the planet like a hawk. As they're talking about this at the round table, as they're talking about how they need to get proof that Muscular is still at large, and possibly maybe working with Saren. As Bell and them are just talking amongst each other, as they're all trying to decide, they say, as Deku says, why don't we form a group of secret ones, a side section of the ones we trust the most and that are most capable. They'll be our eyes and ears, you could say. Freelancers. We'd say they're able to go to and fro from the operation, but they report to us and give us information. Especially with this Muscular thing that's coming up. As they're all talking, okay, who would be in charge of them? Well, Deku says he's in charge. Well, it could be Bell. Makes sense. Think about it. Bell is the most reasonable one here to be put in charge of it. Even though, not to say anything rude, Bell, you do stuff, but you really don't do that much. You're in charge of one place. Not to be rude of, but you could most definitely be put in charge of more, considering you're one of the heads of our mercenary group. So he's so they'll be freelancers. Yes, and their armor could be red and red and white, since yours is white and red. We'll send them out sparsely, but we need to choose our agents carefully. You'll be the freelancer director, which you'll get information and get it to us, and we'll discuss about it. But we need people, like I said, who we can trust and who are effective. It's Deku says, I put forth Eyes Wallenstein. She's been with us for quite a while, and she has proven herself on numerous occasions. If we can guarantee, and she usually keeps her helmet on, so no one really knows. Well, not keeps her helmet on, but she's one of the best people I've seen in the field, and I've worked with several. Deku puts her forward. She's anyone else? Kirishima says there's a few guys that I've worked with several times that I would trust putting them out there. They could go. And would trust them. Ida says, as they're all saying, is that it? Is there only 4 people? It's it may not be much, but think about it. It's good news considering we don't want too many of them out there wearing the same exact armor. We'll have to have them customize it differently, and have them different weaponry and such. As they're talking about this, they'll need small ships, or they'll need to be able to get on transports and such. So maybe different IDs and such. It's now we're starting to delve into the underworld a little bit. As they speak to Weasel, can you get us hands on forged IDs that will most definitely work? Weasel is I know a few guys. It's all right. We'll call them forward and talk with them about this, alright? As they're yeah, you got it. As later that day, or later, that week or so, they're speaking to each other. At this point, Shepard's, going across the way looking for Saren, or clues to prove that Saren is guilty. As at this point, I'll say they're like doing several side missions and such. I don't know exactly how long like the Mass Effect is supposed to last technically. Like the first game is supposed to last. How long was it? Couldn't find it, but still. Anyways, with Bell and them like calling forth these several characters as they start speaking with them. So, as it's like a one-on-one conversation. Well, not one-on-one, but a few of them are one-on-one. Deku, and Kirishima. Deku, Bell, and Bakugo, essentially, since this is a personal matter between the three. As they start speaking with them. So, do you understand your parameters of your mission, is what Bell says. It's like, yes. Several of them agree. So, we are by no means forcing you to do this. So, we're no means by forcing you to do this. You can stay here and report, and everything will go about as usual. But, we do need this done. As long as we keep on trying to hold off our furs for a long distance, we're not going to be able to grow as much, and we won't be able to expand, which will, starting to talk business, cost us money. Plus, Muscular is a threat to all of us, as Bell's like talking with them. As a couple of them say, no offense, boss, but I don't think I'm the right one for this. Like, I'm more used to group efforts, like, and from the sounds of it, you want us to go on our lonesome. So, sorry, boss, but I'm out. As Bell says, it's no problem. You can take your leave. As they're like, sorry, sir. It's like, no problem. As they give a bow to each of them, as two of them walk out. As Eyes and the last guy are still there, as it's like, so, you understand? As Eyes says, yes, I understand. And I'd be more than willing to take it on. As the guy has a complex look on his face, he's like, I'll do it, but why don't we just travel in pairs? It's like, could look suspicious. It's like, nah, think about it. Two together, like a team of two. We'll both gather data on our own and collaborate, bring multiple information together. And safety in numbers. We'll at least have two to watch each other's backs. As Bell's like, Bakugo says it could work. It's not uncommon for there to be like a group of mercenaries to work alongside each other. Even if it's just a small number like 3 or 2. As Deku says, could work. Red and white armor for each of them? Or we could have one of them wear green. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, As, like, I agree, is what Bell says. Alright. You two will be forging you false IDs, and you'll be given different equipment and different armor. It won't be as good as the armor you have now. You gotta have the actual part down. Weasel's gonna acquire these items for you. As he writes down the list. We'll ensure you guys got money to get off the planet, and you'll start your search on Omega. Omega's the top place where you find crime. You go there, you'll work stuff out. As they're like, alright. Knowing Saren, he may try to deal with the common crooks there. Or you could try to make your way to the Citadel first. Search clues there as well. Sorry. As it's like, alright. As when they go off. As this guy speaking with I, so what do you think of the plan? As it's like, to be honest, I don't like it, but you never know. As it's like, so what's your name? It's Todoroki. Like, alright. Well, it's a pleasure to work with you, Todoroki, as she shakes his hands. Pleasure, Eyes. Let's keep going. As they'll be known as the Free, as they're over a period of time, over like a week, they get their IDs and such formed, and they'll, like Todoroki, as he like talks with Eyes for a bit, explains that he just wanted to get out of his father's grip. His father's a well-known businessman. He got tired of being pushed around, as his father wanted someone perfect in his eyes to replace him as his like head of his board or something other. I don't really care. But right now, let's continue forward. Hey. As Todoroki's like very calm and collected, as he does still have that hatred for his dad. She's like, so what do you do? He's like, oh, I got tech that I can use for fire and ice. It's a lot easier, you know? It's like, okay. As Eyes explains her thing, as is like, oh, this will be useful. As they like eventually are shipped off. As they go into the great unknown to learn. As Belle and them continue working as they would. As time skips between each of the thing. Where actually one night when there we go. Where they, are hanging out, they get like a bit of information returned to them from Eyes and Todoroki. As in like, we're doing pretty good, boss. We've been able to scrounge up a little bit, saying that some Krogan is calling some people into the out in like some of the other parts of space, but that's all about all. As it's like, well, that's at least something, but could always be more. So like, here's another thing. Todoroki and I have gotten a few more gigs apparently, like people looking to hire us as bodyguards. We wanted your info on what to do. As Belle essentially being the commander or the sole leader of this group, pretty much says, if you guys need the money, do it. If you don't. No point in almost getting killed if you don't need it. As they go quiet again. A lot of this part will be like them like being on and off with Todoroki and such. With the team, as Deku and them are trying to like expand, like as they like have spoken with several of their people and several officers, quote unquote, as they speak with, as they like continuously meet up talking about, so how about we do this, as they talk about expansion efforts, as each of them are talking with one another, as they're talking about how do they expand our efforts. We need someone from the commanders, right? For the chiefs, as they call themselves. Well, Deku says, I wouldn't mind doing it, but are you guys sure you don't need me here? Like, I think it would just be best to leave some of the officers, like, to go out and, like, prove themselves. As they're all talking about this, well, they get breaking news, as it says that a place, well, not a place, but, as they get, like, news about, like, a report from, like, Shepard's talking with the reporter that ambushes him. And yes, Shepard's a guy in this, like I said. As she talks to him about things, as, like, he put some pretty good answers, I'd say. Like, yeah. As Baku says, he should have just, like, told her to back off. What Bakugo says, it's like, you tell everybody that, Bakugo. It's like, yeah, and it's truth. As they talk more, it's like, so, has it been settled? We'll send 50 guys or so, along with several, like, dozens of mechs, and different types of mechs, to, like, get a building and set up. We would also provide expansion, like, for Mr. David and Melissa. Like, if you think about it, they've been talking about going to an off world to establish our places. As they talk with them about it, like, eventually getting them on a call. We're expanding our efforts. You can tag along if you want. As it's like, wait, what? we're expanding our mercenary efforts, seeing if we can grab more people. Though it's still a frontier planet, as they say that with quotations. It's still in the process of becoming a full-blown city, or full-blown city, but sorry. It should be profitable enough for us to send us there. So, like, how many people are you sending? Around 50, so any cargo you send along with them would be protected nicely. So they all talk for a while, and they eventually get set off. As Deku sends a private message to Melissa, see you for date. As he sends it, he's like, well, yes, they're dating. Deku's like the only one in a relationship. Oh, anyways, as Deku and them get that all underway. And it is late, so... There won't be a lot of action for some of these, I'm sorry, but... Yeah. As when Deku and them get, like, word from the group that was, from the group that was sent to, like, establish a foothold, quote-unquote, they were able to do it pretty successfully. They pretty much just, bought a place, set up the things, and then they just started guarding it. And there were a few attempts of break-ins and such, but, people thought, oh, it's a fairly new place. They won't be that well protected until they were met with fire from 50 guns, sharpshooters, organized defenses, and everything. They were completely blown away. Yeah. There's a few people trying to bully this new corporation, or this, like, new corporation or whatever, in their eyes, into submission, with pretty much anything that they send at them is destroyed. Like I said, they sent some of the best people, or, like, not freelancer best, but they sent some of the best people that they had in, like, the bulk of the force to the place to establish it. It's like, well, that's good. Anyways, have we got any more information on this? As they're, like, about to speak, it's like, as it's like a loud thing, it's like, hey, we found some information about Muscular. It's been a few weeks at this point. Like, we think we've sort of gotten information about a guy that matches the Krogan that matches his description. He's working on some deals with some very dangerous groups on this planet, as it's like this planet, like insert planet name here. It says he has a really light guard, but he isn't alone. He's got like dozens, maybe even close to 100 Krogan with him, as Bakugo says, 100 Krogan. That is a pretty big number, but how do you get that many, is what he says. Deku and them are talking amongst themselves, says, alright, you need us to get proof that they're on this planet, because otherwise we may expose ourselves. I said, like, we already thought about that, and we're on our way. We rented a small ship that should get us there, undetected. Sorry. As eventually they get called back, yeah, we see the facility, and it's the same type of logos we saw on when we boarded that massive ship station thing. As it's like, alright, we'll try to get, like, our ships in the air. As they have, like I said before, a few ships, but in this time of the few years, they were able to buy a couple of years, not a few, a couple more ships after they invested in them, like, sort of bought them bit by bit. It's sort of like they have a mortgage, or, yeah, pretty much a mortgage on the ships, and technically they can just be homes in space. Sorry. As they have some pretty good ships, as they got people to crew them and such. They're, like, very small. Like, if you put them against, like, a bigger ship, like, it would take more, like, they're not able to, like, fight one giant ship similar to, like, a cruiser class. It's like either cruiser or frigate class. But they are able to fight, maybe, like, since they have multiple, they could fight, like, a frigate or a cruiser class. I can't remember which one is, like, the big one. I can't remember. But anyways, as they have enough ships and people to use them as, sorry, they use a lot of like self-running stuff, like programs that may have come up with to like adjust, well, not adjust, but to like be, they don't need people constantly watching them. Like for shield generators, she made like using repair bots and such, she's programmed them with the ability to like repair and such, to like find solutions to the problem and such. Like, is how they've rolled it. As the people who actually, they have like people actually using the guns and piloting the ships. As Sarah pilots like pilots Melissa and David's personal ship. But they have gotten a few good pilots and such to pilot the other things. As Deku is still captain of 2 ships technically. Now, he's taking command, like he has 2 ships under his command, quote unquote. Bell, like, has 1 under his, like, knows nothing, but he's pretty much just put in charge of the ship. Bakugo has a ship which has a lot of Krogan on it, and, May is pretty much stuck at the planet, like, keeping everything running. As they have had to switch, like, over to their, how they typically do things, like, when a lot of meat, like, at flesh, non-synthetics, I guess will be the best way to say it, like, non-synthetics are away, like, when a lot of them are, since they, like, switch to, like, using pretty much flooding the areas that they have under their protection with drones and mechs and such to ensure their safety. It's sort of like that. Sorry. As they're off to go confront this muscular, to be sure. If not, they'll hunt him down like a dog as well. Anyways, I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Hope y'all continue to enjoy this. And I think I'll make the Dragonborn What If. And I hope y'all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.